India should not be wasting time on trying to stitch a deal with the Americans. It will never work. It will
To
never
just
happen.
accept a 25% tariff and move on in life.
Absolutely. Let it be there, 25%. It's such an unfair proposition.
Yeah.
What it means is that you don't buy cheaper oil from Russia and buy costlier oil from US, transport it all the way at extra cost and do it. Now, any sane person in India can do this kind of deal. Why should we not buy the oil from Russia if it is in our interest? He can buy from anyone if it is in their interest. He has done deal with Ukraine for minerals. He is doing deal with others. So whoever is giving him a deal. Tomorrow Russians, if they give a deal to him, he'll take it from there. So if he can take it from here there for serving his and American interest, others should do it. What is this nonsense? And why should we buy costlier oil from America? So if I may, this might be a stronger word, it's idiotic for Indians to accept this kind of proposition.
He also called the Indian economy, along with the Russian economy, a dead economy. What would you say to that? India is the fifth largest economy in the world today.
I think this was out of some sort of frustration. He knows it's not a dead economy. He knows it's a thriving economy. Till yesterday, he was talking to Indians and also telling how great Indians. Look at the February declaration between him and the Prime Minister Modi. How long that declaration is, what kind of cooperation it talks about. So this loose expression of terming Indian economy as a dead economy is, I think, out of frustration that he is not able to do the deal with this. Ignore it.
Donald Trump has done it again. India has taken advantage of us. That stops now. This was what he posted on Truth Social this week before dropping the 25% tariff bomb on Indian exports. And if that was not enough, he followed it up by threatening to impose unspecified penal tariffs unless India stops buying Russian oil and defense equipment. Now, I'm joined by Subhash Chandra Garg, former Finance and Economic Affairs Secretary of India. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
Trump clearly wants a few things. This is arm twisting in the way Trump knows arm twisting. So clearly, EU, Japan, they've all bent over backwards to accommodate what Trump wants, which is what he wants. And could you explain to our viewers, what is it that he wants? What does he want out of India? And because he's not getting it, therefore these arm twisting tactics.
So, see, Trump's objectives are twofold. Number one, he wants the trade deficit with certain countries. So, Americans export less to that country, let us say India. So, India get American goods of about $45 billion. India exports to America of about $87, $89 billion. So, Americans have a deficit of about $45 billion with India. Likewise, America has deficit with Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia, China, any EU also. So Americans have deficit with a lot of countries. And this is what Trump wants to plug. He wants to eliminate deficit. And for some reasons, he has come to believe that if he wrangle the tariff bludgeon or sword, whichever way you put it, that if he increases the tariff for these countries' export to America, he will be able to close this gap. So these two things are driving entire thing what Trump is doing. You have to eliminate the deficit, and the tariff is the weapon. So this is, I think, this should be clear to everyone. Then what he is doing gets explained. Now he has been successful in doing it with EU, Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia, because these countries had a kind of very large exports to America. Second, possibly, let us say, for example, Vietnam. Vietnam's GDP, 30% comes from American exports. So their dependence on American exports is so high. EU exports to America is about $600 billion. So they have very large export dependence on the Americans. And therefore, to save their exports, for the time being at least, they have agreed to the conditions which Americans imposed on them. For India, this is not the case. And So Indian exports are 85, $87 billion, but they are about 2 to 3% of our GDP, not of that kind of thing. Second, we have several sort of peculiar situations. For example, we can't take American imports on dairy, soy meal, or soybean oil, GM considerations, other considerations. There are many reasons why Indians are not in a position to take American exports, while others have been able to take. Their own tariffs on American goods were also very small, unlike us. So that for all these reasons, I have always believed that a deal with India for Trump is difficult to get, and for India to give it to them. In addition to these tariff acceptance, these countries have done three more things. One, they have accepted zero tariffs for American goods to their countries.
Right.
India has a very high tariffs on American goods. India can't get zero. These countries have also agreed to buy aircrafts, defense equipments, energy,
Oil.
oil, etc.
So what you're basically saying, sir, that while EU and Japan, they had no choice but to go for whatever Trump was bulldozing them to accept. India has a choice, largely because India cannot afford to give in to everything for whatever compulsions.
So it's not a choice in the sense the deal is impossible as far as India is concerned. And therefore, while others could accommodate, and they had the space also to accommodate, India can't do it. And therefore, as far as India is concerned, India should not be wasting time on trying to stitch a deal with the Americans. It will never work. It will
To
never
just
happen.
accept a 25% tariff and move on in life.
Absolutely. Let it be there, 25%. Now, what happens if the 25% tariff, as it comes into effect from tomorrow?
How does it impact us?
Correct. So that is what. So what happens is that this is a tariff, additional tariff cost. So if $100 good was going to America, the Americans will now impose 25% import duties. This is like this. Import duties is paid by the American importers. Now, what the business dynamics is that can Indian exporters export that $100 thing in 100 in times to come, and Americans pay 25% tariff, and the American consumers buy those goods for $125. That is one situation. The second situation is that the Indian exporters agree to reduce the price to, let us say, $75 and get the 25% tariff absorbed by them. Now, that is not possible for Indian exporters.
My mom called me. ये Trump ने क्या कर दिया है? How is the average Indian consumer? How does it impact them?
So, see, the Indian interested parties are also many. You mentioned about consumers. Then there are producers, then there is government. Let us take consumers as you mentioned first. Surprisingly, these Trump tariffs don't affect Indian consumers adversely at all. If Indian exporters are not able to export these goods, they will supply the goods to Indian consumers. And since the supply in domestic markets increases, the prices for consumers should come down. Indian consumers would also perhaps get better quality products in India. You would have heard many times saying export quality cheese hai. So if export quality cheese is getting available in India at prices lower than otherwise available, consumers don't suffer. Who suffers is the exporter. Who suffers is the exporters. That is where the hit might come to them if they agree to reduce their prices. If they don't agree to reduce their prices, even they don't suffer. They may suffer the business loss.
You've already got the opposition shouting, "How dare Trump insult India? Modi must strongly respond." How do you think Modi and Jaishankar, Piyush Goyal, what should be our response to these tariffs?
See, I think Indian establishment, from Prime Minister to Finance Minister, or to Trade Minister to Foreign Minister, was somehow trusting that there would be some strain of reasonableness in Trump. And we'll be able to, by sort of leveraging our so-called friendship with him, we'll be able to get a better deal. I think this was a very misplaced kind of assumption about Trump's behavior. Yeah. For him, his interest is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter for him whether Pakistan is a terrorist state or not, whether any other country is a dictatorship or not. It doesn't matter to him. What matters to him, whether in his perception he is able to get a deal for America or not. That deal might actually be a bad deal. That's a different subject. But in his perception, he believes that he is getting something of a great deal for America. By very definition, anything which is greater or which is of beneficial to Americans cannot be of benefit to the other country. And therefore, this misplaced judgment about Trump's ability or propensity to do a kind of good deal for India, I think has landed us into the situation in which we are.
Yeah, because we've been negotiating for 4 months and nothing has really come out of
Exactly.
it. We're back to square one after these 4 months.
We were wasting time. And
Right.
if we
So,
still continue to waste, then that is, I think that tells me a very weak part of the government. That something is so clear, yet you are not able to see it, and you're still prolonging the misery. Call off, go on,
okay, so
move
let's
on,
let's
forget.
see. Yeah, let's see what the government comes up with as a strategy. Whether they're going to waste more time in trying to negotiate. See, because in good faith you would try to negotiate at the first chance, but then clearly with Trump, all bets are off
I
when
don't
he
think there was
decides.
anything like good faith. It was a kind of belief that somehow for him he will do a better deal.
But I
That
think most countries believed that, right?
uh,
And most countries got the shock of their lives. Even G7, if he didn't spare G7 nations, Canada, close largest trading partners, I wonder why he
See,
would spare it.
I don't think we fully understand their strategies.
Hmm.
We Let us say, for example, a deal with Japan or a deal with the EU. So Japan has accepted 15% tariff. Right?
Hmm.
15% is not a very large amount of tariff. But
Right.
will Japan reduce its prices to and bear the burden of 15% or not is not known as yet. The Japanese may as well not give a 0 or even 1% discount to Americans or reduce prices. Let us
Hmm.
say another aspect of Japan deal, that they have said we will buy so much of defense equipment or aircraft and things like that. You don't buy aircraft in a day. The time set is for 5 to 10 years. Now, who has seen these 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, maybe
And when
does
you
maybe Trump. Yeah, maybe Trump is no more there.
and when you negotiate, if you put conditions that this aircraft which you are selling to us, let us say in $10 billion, we will buy it for 8 billion, and the deal gets stuck,
Correct.
then you actually don't do it. So how these countries will actually deliver on what they have promised to Trump is something which is not known. And in the end, these countries may not actually be paying anything to America. It might actually ending up making American economy more miserable and the consumers more miserable. So let us not say that others have given. Our problem is that we are not in a position to give the kind of concessions which apparently others have given.
Right.
We can't accept zero tariff. We can't accept the agriculture imports here, like others have accepted.
So,
Whether
so, so we
Americans
are back
have
to so we are back to that zero space. There will be pain. There will be the exporters from India will perhaps lose margins. Indian firms will sweat, but we can't be seeing or we can't give into this arm twisting.
absolutely,
Is that what?
absolutely.
Right. Let's be honest. This is Trump. We're talking about the man thrives on chaos, but eventually he also deals. Right. We saw it with North Korea. We saw it with China. We saw it with Mexico. He picks a fight, then talks stuff, and then cuts a deal. Do you think he's going to back down on his demands from as vis-a-vis India? Because from what I heard from you, no.
I don't think, because there is no such space. I am again telling you that all these countries had 0 to 5% tariff on American goods. For them to agree to zero is not a problem. For us, bringing agriculture tariffs from 38% to zero is a problem. All these countries are similar economies to American economies. Their industrial production, automobiles, take anything, is more or less same.
Yeah, and
For them,
as I was reading an article of yours, and you wrote very clearly that forcing India to buy American F-35 jets or crude oil, which do not meet India's defense needs, really is plain blackmail.
Exactly. You can't do it. So Trump would find it very difficult to find a middle ground for doing a deal with India. And since he can't find a middle ground, we can't have a deal.
Right.
So I don't think there is even 5%
There is
chance of any
also
deal.
the Russia googly that he sort of threw into this entire mix. He followed up by threatening to impose unspecified penal tariffs unless India stops buying Russian equipment, Russian oil. How do you think, is that more a message to Russia or is that a message to India?
See, I don't care whether it's a message to Russia or not. What I care is what is the message to India. It's such an unfair proposition.
Yeah.
What it means is that you don't buy cheaper oil from Russia and buy costlier oil from US, transport it all the way at extra cost and do it. Now, any sane person in India can do this kind of deal. Why should we not buy the oil from Russia if it is in our interest? He can buy from anyone if it is in their interest. He has done deal with Ukraine for minerals. He is doing deal with others. So whoever is giving him a deal. Tomorrow, Russians, if they give a deal to him, he'll take it from there. So if he can take it from there for serving his and American interest, others should do it. What is this nonsense? And why should we buy costlier oil from America? So if I may, this might be a stronger word, it's idiotic for Indians to accept this kind of proposition. So don't accept it.
He also called the Indian economy, along with the Russian economy, a dead economy. What would you say to that? India is the fifth largest economy in the world today.
I think this was out of some sort of frustration. He knows it's not a dead economy. He knows it's a thriving economy. Till yesterday, he was talking to Indians and also telling how great Indian. Look at the February declaration between him and the Prime Minister Modi. How long that declaration is, what kind of cooperation it talks about. So this loose expression of terming Indian economy as a dead economy is, I think, out of frustration that he is not able to do the deal. Ignore it.
Ignore his idiocy is what I hear you saying. But thank you so
Ignore
much.
his uses of the terms. He yesterday called Indian non-tariff barriers as obnoxious. Today he called Indian economy as dead. Tomorrow he might call something. Should we be worried about the pronunciation of a person whose judgment is so biased only in one side that you can't have a reasonable even dialogue with a person like him?
Yeah, and he on one hand, we all know the kind of terror emanating from Pakistan. On the other hand, he goes ahead and calls Asim Munir to the White House, and then also does a deal with Pakistan and says India will one day perhaps be buying oil from Pakistan. Uh, you never know what he gets up to, really.
So this is the Pakistan deal which he has done. Pakistan has decided that we must suck up to the Americans and do a deal with them. Right? They want to neutralize India-US relationship.
Right.
So what they've offered is that, all right, you come here, explore, drill, get the oil. We will give you all those concessions, etc. For Pakistan, it doesn't matter who drills the oil. Their own people cannot drill the oil there. So whether Chinese do it or whether Arabians do it or Americans do it, they can't care. It doesn't matter to them. Oil is such a thing where the profits would probably flow from the elite power in Pakistan, the army and others. It's like it flows in many other Middle Eastern countries and all. So it suits him. Pakistan is prepared to do a crypto kind of deal. That, all right, make Pakistan as a crypto kind of nation. Yeah. We can't do it. We must.
We can't be going around recommending him for the Nobel Peace Prize as Asim Munir
did. Which doesn't matter. A dictator in an army chief recommending for Nobel Prize, and there is another guy, Netanyahu, whose ICC, International Court of Justice, has declared to be a war criminal. If they are recommending Nobel Prize, this means nothing, right? And why should we play to the ego when we can't actually also do a deal kind of what Pakistan is doing with them.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for speaking to us, sir, and providing us that perspective. We'd love to speak to you again. So, viewers, I hope this has been insightful for you. Thank you for your time.